Welcome. I honestly thought Donald Trump was going to stay quiet on No King's Day. I figured he'd disappear for the day. Maybe sulk, maybe play golf, maybe try to hide from the spotlight while millions of Americans took to the streets to protest what many see as an increasingly authoritarian administration. But Trump being Trump, he just couldn't help himself. Because here's the truth, he feels the pressure. And it's starting to show. In this video, we need to talk about how Trump absolutely snapped and why this moment is bigger than just another outburst. Because what we're seeing now is something even more revealing. Donald Trump is starting a war inside his own party. And the reason is simple, though even Republicans are getting exhausted by the chaos, the escalation, and especially his obsession with war. The cracks are getting harder to hide. And if you've been paying attention, this could be the moment where things really begin to turn. So let's break down exactly what happened and why Trump may be panicking more than ever. Donald Trump sent out a stoog today to try to help massage the narrative around his illegal and immoral war with Iran. And it's where I want to begin before we get to Donald Trump snapping, attacking his own party, and the incredible scenes from No Kings today, including what Bernie Sanders had to say, which I just really needed to hear. Like I said, Donald Trump sent out some propagandists. Listen to what RFK Jr. said about Donald Trump's understanding of the Middle East.
During the campaign, I was on the airplane with him, and we were sitting across the table from each other, eating McDonald's, drinking Diet Coke. And we started talking about Syria, and he got a placemat, and he turned it on its back, and then he took a Sharpie, and he drew a perfect map of the Mideast. And then he put the troop strength of every country on every border on that map, and it just, it challenged a lot of the assumptions that I had been told about.
I mean, in the history of things not happening, that thing might have not happened, the most not happened. Donald Trump gets a 2-minute sizzle reel. A sizzle reel is how it's been described by his handlers of going kabooey in Iran to keep him engaged in a war that he started 4 weeks ago. That is how much of a child Donald Trump is. That he cannot read a classified briefing about the war he started because his attention span is that small. So his handlers to keep him engaged in a war we don't want to be in, and are only being kept in because Israel probably has blackmail on Donald Trump, and he's profited massively through market manipulation during this war. The only way to keep him engaged is to show him a sizzle reel. So yeah, that guy does not have a photographic memory of the Middle East and know everything about geopolitics. That is, Donald Trump is an out-of-control madman who has gotten us into another senseless war. And it was the central point of the message that Bernie delivered at No Kings that I think really tipped Donald Trump off.
Since this war began, 13 American soldiers have been killed and hundreds have been wounded, including another 12 yesterday. In Iran, nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed and many more wounded, and 498 schools have been bombed by American and Israeli missiles. In Lebanon, more than 1,000 people are dead, and more than 1 million Lebanese people, 15% of their population, have been displaced from their homes. In Israel, 20 people have been killed and over 5,000 wounded. In the West Bank, Israeli vigilantes are burning down homes and killing Palestinians. At a time when gas prices are soaring, when many Americans cannot afford the basic necessities of life, it is estimated that this war has already cost $1 trillion.
Americans are dying for Israel. Americans are dying so Donald Trump and his rich buddies can manipulate the stock market so that they can manipulate oil futures. So the military-industrial complex can get more tens of billions, hundreds of billions of your taxpayer dollars. That is why Americans are dying for the Epstein class. If there was ever a reason to go out and protest in the streets, it is that. And it's not just Democrats and independents protesting. Republicans are turning on Donald Trump as well. And maybe even worse than turning on him fully. They're just not doing what he wants. They're sitting in a stalemate. And it's why Donald Trump's declaring war on his own party. It is time for the Senate filibuster to end. Those weak and ineffective Republican senators that stand in the way of this should be exposed to the public. The Democrats are crazy. Donald Trump calling for Republican senators to be exposed because they will not end the filibuster. Now, we know exactly why Donald Trump wants to end the filibuster. Because he saw 8 million people today on this No Kings Go Out and Protest His War. Go out and protest his cover-up of the Epstein files. Go out and protest the fact that, do you know what? It wasn't just about Donald Trump. It was also about protesting a system in which big money has bought out almost every member of Congress so that they pledge allegiance to Israel rather than follow their oath to the Constitution. That they are bought out by big corporations. That the media is owned by about 3 guys now in its entirety, and they will do anything to protect themselves and to protect this administration. And of course, as well, Netanyahu. Larry Ellison is going to make sure that's the case. And people were protesting at all. No King's Day isn't just about No King Donald Trump Day. It's plural because we cannot just think of what's broken in this country and in our world through the lens of the guys that we like the least. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's not just about Netanyahu. These people represent deeply broken systems that we must eradicate entirely. It's not just about Elon Musk. It's about the fact that we have set up dark money to be able to run wild so that Elon Musk can buy an election. So Miriam Adelson can buy an election to make sure that Donald Trump gives Israel whatever they want. Of course, alongside the fact that they have that Epstein blackmail on him, those are the systems that we have to go after. I hate Elon. I hate Trump. I hate Netanyahu. But it is these systems that have allowed these disgusting evil men who will rot in hell to carry out their abuses of power, to carry out their war crimes, to carry out their genocides, to carry out their apartheids. It is those systems that we have to go after that prop up the wannabe kings, the actual dictators, the oligarchs who are trying to break our country. Those are the systems that we have to go after. If we just talk about the men, I think we lose sight of what this project is really about. And I think it is an easy out for people who do want to preserve the status quo, but don't want you to know that that's what they're after. Because there are a lot of Democrats, corporate Democrats, we talk about them all the time. Cy Booker, I've called you out a couple of times and you don't want to come on the show to talk about it. You'll try to say the right words. You'll say, I have disagreements with Mr. Netanyahu, but Corey, you don't care that Israel's carrying out a genocide. You don't. You just want to stay in power. So you'll say, I have strong disagreements. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not after a little public criticism. I'm after systemic change. I'm after an actual affirmative vision of how government can truly serve people. Azran Mandani, an AOC, a Bernie Sanders who laid out his vision, a vision that we need right here. Bernie Sanders is offering an affirmative vision of what government can be, how it can improve our lives, how it can improve the material conditions of working people, leading the Democratic Party as an independent, which I think is great. And Donald Trump is railing against Republicans for not allowing him to try to carry out mass voter suppression in the coming midterms because he's afraid of what he saw today. That is a very stark difference in the direction that things are going. But it is up to us, to make sure that is the direction that things do in fact go. And the only way we can do that is making sure that we are putting people in power. And the primaries to do so are coming up. The Democrats that we nominate might be more important those elections than the election that'll give us a majority in the House. Truly believe that. Senate the same. If we send a bunch of people that are going to back Chuck Schumer and are going to do nothing and write letters alongside Hockey Jeff, nothing's going to change. Doesn't matter if we have the majority, we need real fighters. And anyone who tells you that this time it's not about, left versus center in the Democratic Party, it's a Big Ten and it's about fighters. No one's going to fight who's a centrist. No one's going to fight who's being controlled by corporations. No one who can't say that maybe the authoritarian state carrying out a genocide shouldn't get unlimited funding from us won't stand up to the same unlimited funding we'll give to ICE. And so things won't change unless we put in people who want change. That is what No Kings is about. That is the lesson we take away from today. Donald Trump is spiraling, and I love it. We are going to continue to cover it all and call it all out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. I do love you. And until next time, I'll see you.